Hello everyone, I am Griffin and we are back with another reaction video. We are once again reacting to Brett Cooper, and this one is called Is This What It's Like to Be a Man in 2023? Now let's get into the video and see what exactly this video is about.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. We obviously talk a lot about gender issues on this show, the differences between men and women, what things are plaguing both sexes. But one of my favorite YouTubers ever, again, he does amazing on-the-street journalism, man-on-the-street videos. He turns it into amazing video essays. He just did a video on modern society possibly hurting masculinity. We're gonna watch that today. He does an excellent job. But before we get into it, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to this channel if you have not already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a comment section or off the clock episode.
Today I'm out here and the question that I'll be asking is masculinity toxic?
Yes. They never express like their feelings.
No. Masculinity in and of itself is not toxic. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's no such thing as toxic femininity. There is such thing, however, as toxic people, being they man or woman. That's all there really is. Factually, there is no such thing as toxic masculinity because it is not an actual thing. There are toxic men, but not toxic masculinity.
It's something that you learn from society.
There's a lot of pressure put on like men, the pressures society put on what masculinity is.
That actually might be the first time that I've ever heard that. So I'm excited to get into that more because these women were saying men act this way because of the pressures put on them versus they built this society, they created the patriarchy. It's like maybe they're taking some responsibility. That could be interesting.
We don't allow people to kind of define that for themselves.
Oh, I need to be a strong and masculine man because I want people looking at me and get women and whatever. I think that's toxic masculinity.
The classical role of men is not like sustainable today.
It's not sustainable today. Maybe we are struggling because men are not playing that traditional role. Have you ever thought about that? Like, in what way is a traditionally masculine man not sustainable in our modern society? Maybe you just have some completely backwards view of what men act like and what masculinity truly is, but it fits in perfectly. It's the yin-yang situation.
More of women that prioritize careers over like family. Not being the breadwinner in certain cases can be like makes some men self-conscious, like feel like they do not belong as much.
I think you can be masculine just by being yourself.
Yes, that is true, but I think that that just shows that a lot of this is natural. Like, men naturally lean into being the provider and being the protector. That is the role that they want to play.
The reason the reason why we want to be the provider and the protector is because it's how we men are biologically wired. We are biologically wired to want to protect women, the feminine society, and provide for them. It's just how we are. It's just how we see it. We can't get it out of us. It's pretty much impossible. It's basically like going against nature. It's impossible to go against nature.
And if they are then turned on and say, no, you can't do that. No, I'm going to make more money than you. I'm the girl boss. Obviously, that's going to be very confusing, and they're getting a lot of conflicting information from one side saying be very masculine, another side saying, no, I don't care. Inside of them is saying I'm supposed to be protecting and leading. Obviously, they're going to be very confused.
It's like today we can't seem to get along and it's like men are demonized. What do you think it means to be a man today in 2023 then?
In 2023, you don't even need to look anything like a man to be a man.
So that is it all about looks? Is that just because I don't think that masculinity is about how you look and how much you bench press or anything like that. A more masculine man would probably care more about his health and his fitness, but it's not the most jacked, beefiest, Chad-looking guy. And boiling it down to that, I think, does a disservice to what true traditional masculinity really is. Or maybe we could pretend that this guy is based and he was saying, you know, a man doesn't even have to look like a man anymore, and he's just saying that, you know, in this society women can become men. Maybe he is, I don't know, but we could play devil's advocate there. Anyway.
A lot of people that like transition from like being female to male have seen that they are treated completely differently. I don't get cut off as often. People actually care about what I say.
So I'm guessing that that girl is like my age. Did she live in a time as an adult where men didn't care about what she had to say and where she was treated unfairly? Or is she just thinking that she would have been treated unfairly because millennials told her that because they made up this lie in their head that they were, you know, discriminated against 200 years ago? women had fewer rights, but we've moved past that. Like, we have gained equality under the law. This girl who's my age, you haven't experienced that. You were a child learning this from your parents, from the books that you were reading. Like, I remember growing up, and my mom definitely leaned a little, into the feminist stuff, like wanting to raise an empowered woman. And then she really scaled that back when she saw how crazy the feminists got, especially when it came to, sexual exploration and empowerment and all that stuff. But I remember being young and thinking like, I can be better than the boys, like all this stuff.
God, people who go into those political debates and scream like that, they only do that because they realize they can't win anymore. So they just scream everybody else down. God, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Man, what it's like to be a man, especially in today's age. We are demonized so ferociously in today's day and age. We are seen as like the ultimate enemy in society, which is horrible. It sucks. That's basically what it boils down to. A man in today's day and age, we are seen as the villain, even though we're really not.
It was a very unhealthy way to, I think, spend a good portion of my childhood, but I can understand where these people come from because those are the messages that you are fed. Did you actually experience that on a first-hand level? No, I don't think you did, because again, you're probably 21 years old, 23 years old. It's important to note that we see these extremes and this anger on the internet 24/7, especially if you are more chronically online like I am. And you might meet a person in the real world who has this, vested anger, but most people, they actually just want to get along. Like, I'm remembering being in high school and being in college and hanging out with all of my guy friends and, doing big, like, fun, cozy game nights. Nobody was talking about this. We didn't care. We were mainly concerned with how comfortable we were. And thanks to Tommy John, my loungewear for a night in, you have to see it.
Yep, gonna skip that.
Tommy John just a super week to the video.
Do you think society still values masculinity?
I don't understand why would we need to value that.
Then why do we need to value femininity? If we don't need to value masculinity, then we don't need to value femininity. If we need to value femininity, then we need to value masculinity. You can't have one without the other. You just can't. That is not how the world works.
Oh my God, really say the quiet part out loud.
I feel like it's not good to be like defining what's good and what's wrong. It's whatever you're feeling.
Everything is nothing. Nothing is everything. There is no men and women, no masculine, no feminine. It's just whatever you want.
Mass hysteria!
That's basically our modern
I have masculine traits, and I think I have feminine traits. Feminine traits that I was thinking about, my hair, some parts of my face look like that, but facial hair and stuff, those things are like masculine.
Again, it's not just physical behavior. It's very normal for people to have more traditional masculine traits. Like if you were a woman, I am probably a more masculine woman compared to a lot of girls that I know. I am trying to be more feminine.
Get it, girl.
Because I think that is something that I missed in my childhood. I was, very much a tomboy, and I think that that's, a side of me that I should lean into more. But we are all very unique.
Go ahead, be a tomboy. I guarantee you. Oh, tomboys are so loved. People love tomboys. Men love tomboys.
Human beings. It's not like, oh, I can't be masculine because I have some more, feminine. No, you are a human being with a wide range of human emotions and experiences. You have a unique personality, and that's totally fine. That doesn't mean that you can't be masculine or that you need to turn your nose up at masculinity or femininity or those kinds of, binaries.
Now, I wanted to ask an expert to see if he knew the answer.
You mentioned that both the left and the right are approaching masculinity incorrectly. Why do you think this gap exists where only the extreme definitions of masculinity is currently being presented?
It's one symptom of a broader problem.
Makes me think of Andrew Tate. That's going to give me some pushback. I don't really care.
The right are saying you should be more like your dad, and the left is saying you should be more like your sister. And in the middle are most of us, and trying to figure out how to be guys in a world that's changed.
I don't even think that it's you should be more like your dad. I think that that is an oversimplification, to be honest. For people my age, I think their fathers were already dealing with some of this because the sexual revolution had already happened. I honestly think that most of them are looking at like the red pill alpha dudes that are on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. Like, I think that that's more of what they're looking at. And you guys know my feelings about that. I think that that is, a caricature of masculinity. I don't think that that is actually what being a masculine man is like. I would push back on that point But I do agree that there are many, many extremes and that there are a lot of men in the middle who just don't know who to turn to, who to look up to. I absolutely agree that there is a lack of, I would say, like, normal male role models who don't play into any of this stuff, that genuinely just want to empower men. I think Jordan Peterson is one of the biggest. Chris Williamson, who was on my show recently, I think that he is an exceptional resource for a lot of men, but he is right that there's a big divide.
How do you think the role of masculinity has evolved over the years?
So I'm Gen Z, and I feel like we're a lot more open to talking about our feelings, and the guys even, but I still think we have a long way to go.
I think we can stop. I think we talk way too much about our feelings. I think we have crossed that bridge.
When it comes to the feeling stuff, I think it's gotten to the point where feelings have now completely overshadowed facts. People seem to act more on their feelings instead of logically thinking. And we need to get back into more of a balance, because it is completely out of whack right now, where it's just all about your feelings, all about how you feel. I feel this, I feel that, I feel like this, I feel like that. No, we need to get back into balance, where we need to bring more logic and fact back into this.
Maybe we need to take a few steps back. There's a lot of feelings going on. To be a functioning adult, to be a productive member of society, you must be able to work through your emotions and not let them control you. I think we have gotten to a point now where you are spewing your feelings about everything. Emotion is king, it rules, and then that controls people. And that is not healthy. Both for men and women, we should work on that.
Do you think that toxic masculinity is a result of biology or culture?
Culture, definitely. It all depends on how you're brought up, and how, for example, a guy who's raised with women will have a different personality to guys raised with men.
I actually was surprised that she said culture versus biology, because I've heard a lot of people just say, yeah, they're just wired this way. You can't change them, these awful men. I think that is actually a very good answer.
Ooh, that's good.
As an adult, I'm sure with men, just like with women, how you were raised, how your father mentored you. And I'm sure, like with women, the way that men are raised in different households with different mentors, different parents, it will contribute to how you interact.
That is, I think it's been said that the biggest factor in how somebody becomes who they are is the environment that they're brought up in. If they're brought up in not all the time, not 100% of the time, because there are some cases where a child has brought up in a very well-loved, environment and family, and has still become psychotic, and vice versa. But majority of the time it boils down to the environment, the culture, and all this stuff, and how they were and what they grew up in, that will shape the person that they are.
The world and how you express your masculinity, whatever you want to call it.
In a recent study of over 4,000 men in Europe, they found that thinking masculinity is bad for your behavior is linked to having worse mental health. But when men are viewed as oppressors, is there even any room for empathy for male struggle? In your definition, it seems like a man who is acting very, let's say, masculine might be considered toxic masculinity. Would the opposite be considered toxic femininity?
The way I said it, I guess it should be. I don't think that that's ever been talked about, really.
Because women are the protected class. We should be talking about toxic femininity, though, because there is a lot of that. I think that the word toxic has gotten overblown, and we use it for a lot of things. There are people that are actually toxically masculine. I don't even want to use that word. There are men who are aggressive that are bad men. We can say that they're toxic women, toxic men. There are toxic people in the world. I do not think that we need to boil down both genders into that. There is bad behavior on both sides, which is the main point. And not being able to talk about one while constantly shining a light and, nitpicking through the other, that is the problem.
I think we've mostly focused on men and patriarchy.
I've never heard about toxic femininity.
I think in general in society, we're more accustomed to hearing about toxic masculinity rather than toxic femininity.
So why is that? Is that a problem? You're very confidently admitting that yes, we talk more about the patriarchy.
I think people don't want to. People have been conditioned to. I think have been conditioned to talk about it because it's been shined on it so much, and they don't want to talk about toxic femininity because all these. I think it would go against the feminist movement. It's the current feminist movement. I don't know what I'm talking about right now, but people don't want to talk about it because they want to, a lot of these women want to keep being excused for their shitty ass behavior. And not all women, just a lot of these women.
Okay, but maybe turn the mirror on yourself and see if you need to talk about your own behavior.
The word that men would use for toxic masculinity is hysterical, crazy. So that maybe that's why we didn't hear about that. Women, you know, maybe that's why you never heard that.
So that's not okay. She's obviously not pleased with being called a crazy bitch or whatever she said, but it's okay for her to stand at a man on the street video and rip into men and say that masculinity is toxic. That's a double standard.
Everybody's kind of toxic in their own way. We don't go through life the same way that men do. Guys can just walk out at night and be like, I can go on a stroll at midnight. I can't do that. Women in general are seen as like meat.
The most toxic femininity, I would say, is among girls. I'd say that girls are more judgmental toward girls.
That's very true. That is very true. Girl toxicity, girl jealousy, it is very, very real. I like that line from Barbie. Let's bring it back to Barbie. There was that one. It was like, girls hate girls, and it was like, and then guys hate girls, and that's the one thing you can agree on. I don't agree that men just hate women. I think actually more women hate men these days, but she did hit the nail on the head with girls hate a lot of girls.
At a school assembly in Broward College in Australia, all male students were told to stand up and apologize on behalf of their gender for collective ills such as sexual assault. And although the justification was in response to growing concern about treatment of girls at the school, girls were left feeling exposed and upset, while boys were made to feel guilty for being men.
It does not help either side. Pitting us against each other does nobody good. It only furthers the divide.
In an era where we're encouraging boys and men to be more open, it becomes challenging for them to actually do so when they're still receiving messages that their feelings and perspectives aren't really that valued.
I mean, this is a perfect example that he brought up. These women are talking about how, you know, masculinity is so toxic and men need to be more open with their feelings. And oh yeah, men could do, you know, a lot more work on that. But then you have these schoolboys who have been forced to apologize on behalf of their gender for something that they never did. They're saying they're upset. I'm sure the school didn't give a shit about that. They don't care. It's like, no, that's your gender.
I would say that happening with the school is more of a result of this current wave of feminists. Because they, in my opinion, all they have done is play a victim card. They have constantly played the victim, and they want reprimand for all the stuff that they have not gone through. They're putting all the blame on one entire gender. And they want that entire gender to apologize on behalf of the people in the gender that have actually done the shit. Which is horrible. And all these women want men to express their feelings more, want to be more open with their feelings, and yet when a lot of these men do that, it gets shoved right back in their face and used against them. And these women that have done that have been the ones telling them, why don't you be more open with your feelings, and then wonder why men are not more open with their feelings. Because you did that shit. You've turned it around against us, and you've shoved it back in our face. Why the fuck would we open up when you've done all that?
That's your fault, actually. You're upholding the patriarchy. Like, you just said you wanted them to be open. You're once again confusing them because you're saying, no, actually, we don't want you to talk about that because it goes against what we believe about you and about the patriarchy. No wonder they're confused.
And if expressing even slight sensitivity about the male experience is viewed as invalidating the female experience, how can we ever expect to establish healthy communication?
I don't agree with first wave nor second wave feminism, but I do think that their work has done a lot for women nowadays.
That was like actual feminism. First and second wave feminism was legitimately feminism.
Don't agree with the person. The reason you are able to vote and go out and be the breadwinner because of the first and second wave feminism. It is because of those first and second waves that you are able to vote and go out and have a job and possibly be the breadwinner of your family, or just, you know, live on your own and make a decent living. It is because of the first and second wave of feminism. This third wave has done nothing but insult actual feminism.
That is the definition of feminism. What we have now, absolutely not. Well, you could not agree with that. They got you the right to vote.
Whereas like male issues, we've only seen like a rise in this like concern over the last couple of years.
Maybe because you made it up yourself. Maybe because things were so good, people got a little bored and wanted to create some problems.
It sucks. nobody can bring up any sort of male issues, because then they like they said, you can't bring up male issues or male problems, because then they think you're trying to shout down any female problems. No, we're still talking about the female problems, but what you're doing is completely and utterly ignoring any male issues or problems that are happening as well. You're just saying, you know what, male issues don't matter. Fuck the men. Let's focus on the women because they're having all the issues in the world. No, I mean, we could talk about both and not have one or the other overshadow one or the other. I mean, you could still talk about women issues easily enough, but let's also talk about the male issues, because one sex does not have it worse than the other. They both equally have it bad and equally have it good. Just don't exclude one and just completely shine the light on the other.
Then there needs to be maybe more of a men's movement.
What if that's what it's gonna take? Maybe this whole like women starting to work. It didn't work for women because they both don't need each other anymore.
This chick is base.
You have this kind of weird thing where men can't be emotional and vulnerable. Women, you know, they kind of have to get tough and hardened if they want to pursue that path of careerism. And it's like, where are we at?
The denigration of quotes women's work has been to make it even less likely that men are going to want to do it. And then by extension, like if we don't pay teachers very well, that also makes it harder for men. If we want more men to do more women's work, then we'll have to elevate women's work.
So how can more men adapt and create a new future moving forward?
Right now, we're just leaving too much talent and energy on the floor because we're losing so many of our men. More women have to pick up more of the work. They have to do the men's work of earning the money and the women's work of raising the kids. So the mere presence of there being other engaged dads around a community is good for everybody.
That's one thing that I don't understand with feminists. You wanted to work so badly, and then you're going to come home and you're going to do more housework. Obviously, you could argue like the man should be doing that. The man's just not going to work. But again, like, you really want that? You would rather be working 80 hours a week, come home, not see her. It's just, I don't know. Maybe that's just a personal, just like confusion.
Here's the thing with a household. If one parent is working and the other one stays home to take care of the kids and everything, the person that stays home should take care of the kids, do the housework, and make the food while the other person works. Now, if you work out that when the person comes home after they're resting, they can take some of the work, that's fine. You guys have done that. But you can't expect the person that goes to work 70, 80, 90 hours or 40, 50, 60 hours a week to come home and do all the work at home as well. Now, if you're a single parent, yes, you are expected to do that because you are a single parent. You have to take care of everything. But if one parent is working and they're doing 40, 50, 60 hours a week, you can't expect that one parent to come home and then do half, if not more, of the chores when you yourself has stayed home and done barely shit. It's an equal exchange. One person is going to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, paying the bills, making sure you have a roof over your head, food in the house, and everything like that. Now, if both parents are working, then you both should equally share the chores and shit at home. That's how it should work. Now, if you don't agree with me, that's fine, but that's fair.
Like, I don't understand why I would choose to be sitting in a cubicle or even a corner office versus being with the children that I literally birthed and nursed. I don't know. I'm not a mom yet, but I doubt that will change.
We need to start loving men more in order to allow them to grow.
That's shocking to hear that. That is actually, I can totally agree with this girl. I have not agreed with a lot of the things that she has said, but that is a very important take.
What feminists and men's rights often overlook is that each gender's actions always influences the other. And understanding this interplay is crucial in fostering a better approach. And to promote change, we must let go of this notion of masculinity as inherently toxic. Because it's only by doing so that we can appreciate the good of masculinity and encourage the next generation of men to learn from past mistakes. Because even in the hypothetical scenario of Barbie Land that started with an authoritarian matriarchy empathy, followed by angry Ken dolls overthrowing it to create an extreme patriarchy in response. Both instances demonstrated that the extremes can only hurt the other gender.
He gets it. He understood Barbie the way that I saw it. That is awesome. I love that.
Vindication!
His videos always end on a very positive and empowering note, and I think that that's why I like them so much, because it's never doomsday. It's always like, there is something that you can do. There is common ground that you can find. He has so much empathy with his street interviews. Anyway, it's just so great. If you're not subscribed to him yet, please do that. The word toxic masculinity has hurt masculinity in itself. Yeah, the phrase toxic masculinity has probably been more toxic for masculinity in society than any of the quote-unquote toxically masculine behavior. Somebody commented and said, there is nothing wrong with masculinity, and I think they meant to say take, but you can't take misandry and extremes seriously. Somebody else said, society is currently going towards a downward spiral. I believe both sides should come together and agree on something somewhat equal. And I think that that goes for political sides, but also the genders. I mean, just everything is so divided. Racially, we're divided. In terms of sex, we are divided. Politically, we are so divided. It's very difficult to make change happen. Somebody said toxic feminism has surpassed toxic masculinity. I would have to agree if I wanted to use those terms. Another person said, the fact that women seem to think that dudes can just wander around late at night completely unconcerned is hilarious to me. That is actually an excellent point, and I have not covered this yet, because yes, I think that historically women have probably been more concerned about walking alone at night and being unprotected. If you live in a state or a country where you can have a pew-pew, you should have that, and you should be, protecting.
If I remember correctly, yes, both sides should be concerned walking around at night. But men more often than women actually get attacked. Now, either side shouldn't get attacked, but men get attacked more often than women do.
Yourself, there is no reason why you should not be. But like, have you guys seen the serial killers that are going after men? It is insane. It's wild. Like, and the numbers are skyrocketing, especially in big cities. So yeah, no, men are not just walking around unscathed. Somebody else said, people got to understand there is not toxic this, toxic that. There's internet people, and then there are real people. Like, go outside and your whole perspective will change. Yes, they're real people, and also there are good and bad people. We do not need to be generalizing the entire gender. We can criticize movements and ideologies, but we shouldn't just label people on a whole because of something that they literally cannot control. Another great video from him. I love it. I hope you guys did too.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add is that masculinity and femininity are necessary. We need masculinity and we need femininity. We're just confused without either. People seem to think that one should just disappear and the other is good. I will always say this: one cannot live without the other. You cannot have one and exclude the other. That's not how reality works. It's just not. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that video. Let me know what you people think about toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, or lack thereof in the comments below. If there are any other videos, songs, music videos, anything you'd like to see me react to, please make sure to comment them down below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Please make sure to go check out my Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and Discord. Links to all of them are in the description below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.